Just trying to survive and learn to love along the way by Foreplay on AO3. Episode 69, Chapter 69 of Infirmities and a Cramped Space. Izuku wakes up to a steady beeping. He does his best to sit up and finds Shoto sitting next to his bed, looking anxious. His friend looks up when Izuku moves, and he looks at least somewhat relieved. You feel any better? Izuku shrugs. He felt terrible before. The ache in his head is nothing compared to that, but it still hurt an awful lot. Shoto helps Izuku sit up a little, and he looks around the room they're in. He and Shoto are the only occupants, but there are a few more empty beds in the room. It's definitely not the infirmary back at UA, so Izuku assumes that they're still at the testing site. Dad? He wants to ask, where are my dads? But that seems like a lot of effort right now. Shoto is smart enough to understand what he's asking. Aizawa-sensei went to get an update on Touya, as well as to tell Hitoshi and Bakugou where we are. Mike-sensei is helping Kirishima clean off all the blood. Hopefully they'll be back soon. Izuku wants to go home. You okay? Shoto shakes his head and hesitates before speaking. I feel like shit. Hurt? Physically, no. Emotionally, very. Izuku doesn't know what to say to that, so he keeps silent and hopes that Shoto opens up a bit more. My dad was doing so well, but then everything at jail happened and I thought, okay, maybe he'll go back to therapy for a while. Shoto stands up and starts pacing. He doesn't stray too far from Izuku's bed, but he's far enough away that Izuku can't reach out to him. But after today, I never want to see him again. He nearly killed my friends, and who knows if my brother will pull through or not. Endeavor will be dead to me if he doesn't. Shoto stops his pacing and looks at Izuku, tears in his eyes. Izuku holds out a hand, and Shoto grabs onto it, sitting back down beside the bed. His friend had never really been one for physical comfort, especially in a public area, but Izuku knows he appreciates having something around him. Their peaceful little bubble is bursted when the door slams open and Kacchan storms in, followed warily by Hitoshi. Izuku! Hitoshi doesn't waste any time in rushing over and pulling Izuku into his arms. He's careful not to dislodge his grip from Shoto. Where the fuck is Eijirou? Kacchan is staring at the group, impatience on his face. Lao Dad is helping him clean up. Kacchan just frowned at him, before slumping down in a chair next to the bed across from Izuku's. They sit in silence until his dad comes back, and he makes his way right to Shoto. Your brother is stabilized. He should be fine for the trip back to school, and then Recovery Girl could finish healing him. They're sending him in an ambulance, and as soon as the rest of the class is ready, we'll be heading back to school too. Can I go with him? No, the ambulance only has enough room for one extra person, and that has to be a pro hero. Hawks is going with your brother. Shoto slumps down, but he also looks relieved. The door to the washroom opens, and Kirishima scuffles out, wrapped in a thick blanket. He's followed closely by his dad, who looks more than a little concerned. His dad has an arm hovering behind his friend if needed, and he stays that way until Kirishima is seated on an empty bed. At least Kirishima looks a lot better than he did before. He's thankfully no longer covered in blood. Who knows what Kacchan would have done if he saw that? Oi, Eijirou, what the fuck happened? Kacchan sounds angry, but Izuku can see the lingering concern. Kirishima doesn't say a word, just looks at Kacchan with a small frown on his face. Confusion flickers across Kacchan's face, and he opens his mouth to speak again. Kacchan, wait. He turns to Izuku when he's interrupted. The gun went off right next to Rock's ears, messed up his hearing. The fucking doctors do anything? Izuku shrugs, so Kacchan turns to his dad. They're checking him out, but damage like this is usually permanent. Recovery Girl's going to check him over once we get back. Kacchan turns back to Kirishima with a scowl. You okay? Anything else hurt? No, just my ears. Izuku was not expecting Kirishima to understand what Kacchan asked. Not only did he understand, but he answered in sign language too. They gave him something for the pain, but it may take a bit to help. The room falls into silence after his dad speaks, so Izuku stares at Kirishima until the other boy looks at him. I didn't know you knew sign. Where did you learn? If you don't want to share, don't worry about it. Kirishima gives him a soft smile when Izuku adds on to the last part. Love been teaching me. I only started Learning, so I'm a little slow. Izuku raises his hand to answer, but Hitoshi laughter stops him. All heads in the room turn toward him. Kacchan looks pissed off and ready to pounce, while Kirishima looks dejected. Izuku knows Hitoshi well enough that he knows he isn't laughing at Kirishima's signing ability, but the others don't. It takes him a good minute to calm down, and when he does, he raises his hand to sign. His sign name is Love? The most aggressive boy in class. You call him Love, and he doesn't kill you? Oi, shut the fuck up! Hitoshi barks out in laughter again, and at the sight of the blush on Kacchan's face, Izuku does too. They quiet down when a phone pings, and all heads turn to his dad. Alright, problem children. The rest of the class is loaded into the bus, and they're grabbing your belongings. Shinsou, you'll have to join your classmates on the bus. You can go there with President Mike. You four are coming with me. Thank God. Izuku cannot face the rest of the class right now. He doesn't think the others can either. I guess I'll see you at school, Izuku. Hitoshi looks a little disappointed to have to go back to the bus, but at Izuku's nod, he follows his dad out the doorway. Across from him, Kacchan pulls Kirishima to his feet, and wraps a supportive arm around his back. Izuku should probably get up too, so he turns to the side and stands in one motion. Everything goes all wobbly for a moment before he steadies himself, so Izuku makes sure to stay close to Shoto on the walk to the car. They go some weird way back, and doesn't see a single person on the way there. As much as Izuku would love to sit up front, he knows that Shoto probably needs the space right now, so he offers it to him. Kacchan squishes himself to one side of the back, and Kirishima sits right next to him. Izuku is relieved. He can't imagine sitting right next to Kacchan for the ride. It's thankfully uneventful, and Izuku has to shake both Kacchan and Kirishima awake once they get back to school. They all follow his dad without a word. As much as Izuku wants to run back to his dorm room, he knows that his dads will want him to have been checked out by Recovery Girl. His dad stops them just outside the door. Before I forget, I have something for each of you. He pulls out a bundle out of his pocket and passes out a card to each of them. It takes him a moment, but when Izuku realizes that it's his Perishable Hero license, he can't help the smile that creeps onto his face. He hands it back to his dad as they walk in. He knows with his luck it'll disappear while he's knocked out by Recovery Girl's quirk. She gives him a kiss on the cheek as soon as he's seated, and all of his aches and pains slowly fade away with his consciousness. Alright, okay, injuries weren't so extreme that he had to stay there for a while, so I'm happy about that. Yay, can we get a clap in the room for that? Love that. So, Chapter 70 is of police and a heroine. Summary. Shouta doesn't really get breaks. His number one priority is his students' health and safety. Oh, great. So, the class is no longer a class of 19, it's a class of 18. Okay, well, that happened. That is something. That is something. That is something. That is truly, truly something. So, I like this chapter. I like the idea that Kirishima might not come out of this unscathed. I know that having a gun, being, shot at, especially so close to where your ears are and stuff like that, and where you are, can be really devastating to the ears sometimes. I don't know the logistics of that, since police officers do it all the time, but I think it's because your ears aren't adjusted to that sudden, brute force of noise, while police officers are. And even when they're practicing, they wear those, big headphone pieces things, so I don't know. Somebody who knows about all of that, the sound and the protection of the ears and all that, please inform me. Please inform me. Please inform me. I would love to know about that. So, yeah, this is a really interesting chapter. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't really have any notes or anything like that. Other than, not Kirishima. Kacchan's name, or sign name for Kirishima being Love. That is hilarious. I would have bursted out laughing like Hitoshi as well. Bursted out laughing. Cracking my ass off. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.